and the consequences or the repercussions. And we have two guests that will be joined. We also have Solomon Ajao. He is the Regional Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association for the Greater Accra region. So we saw somewhere, was it last week? Yes. So I have my co-host with me, Clement. Clement Yabankwe is also here with me, and we're going to be having this conversation. And yes, so somewhere last week, an incident occurred where we have a citizen who went to the Ridge Hospital to seek medical care, and it seems that a lot of events occurred there that were not exactly savory. And so now the news coming up, I think a few days ago, is that the Ridge Hospital nurse has sued the social media activist Ralph St. Williams for 7 million Ghana cedis over assault and defamation. So it is alleged that the nurse, one of the nurses who is also part of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, she was assaulted by the said activist and a group of other young men who were seemingly thugs. And so it says here that the nurse at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, in the person of Ms. Rejoice Chocho Bote, has taken legal action against social media activist Ralph St. Williams, also known as Ralph the Fellow Ghanaian, accusing him of assault and defamation. And in a lawsuit filed at the High Court, Ms. Bote is seeking 7 million Ghana cedis in compensation, 5 million Ghana cedis for physical assault, and that's battery, and 2 million Ghana cedis for defamation, all amounting to 7 million Ghana cedis, following claims that the activist attacked her physically and later made harmful statements about her on social media. So we're going to be speaking with, so yes, you can see on your screens the statements of the claim, the whole legal process in one document there. And if you're able to access it on social media, you can read the full details, or if my producers will permit me, I could actually take us through the details. May I? Now, as you're reading that, so it says here we can go through the document briefly. So now, access it, sorry. Okay, so this is a document, and it says here, a writ issued from Accra, that is, 22nd of August 2025, in the High Court of Justice here in Accra, and between Rejoice Chocho Bote, the plaintiff, and Ralph St. Williams, the defendant. Now, an action having been commenced against you by the issue of this writ, named by the above-named plaintiff, Rejoice Chocho Bote, you are hereby commanded within 8 days after the service of this writ on you, inclusive of the day of service, you do cause an appearance to be entered for you, Ralph St. Williams, aka Ralph the Fellow Ghanaian, and take notice that in default of your doing so, judgment may be given in your absence until, without further notice to you, Ralph St. Williams, aka Ralph the Fellow Ghanaian, dated this day of 22nd of August 2025, Chief Justice of Ghana, that is Paul Afoboni, the acting Chief Justice. Now, I'm going to go deeper into the document, and then we can, proceed with our conversation. Clement is here with me, so we'll be having extensive conversations about it some more. Now, let's go into what the claims are. Right, okay. The plaintiff claims against the defendant as follows: damages of 5 million Ghana cedis for the battery suffered at the hands of the defendant on the 17th of August 2025, resulting in bodily injuries to the plaintiff. Damages of 2 million Ghana cedis for the defamatory words published by the defendant in relation to the plaintiff. In these terms, liar, you say you have suffered an injured hand and dislocated shoulder. This is cooked up to cover the nonsense going on at the hospital, quote. Now, the plaintiff is Rejoice Bote, and then the defendant is, Ralph St. Williams, as we know. So the plaintiff is the person who is, suing, and then the defendant is the one who's supposed to come and also defend himself. That could be a little self-explanatory. Now, 3, it says an order directing the defendant to publish a full unqualified apology and retraction of the said defamatory words in the same medium and with the same prominence as the original publication. Perpetual injunction restraining the defendants from publishing any further defamatory matters in relation to the plaintiff. Perpetual defendants from going anywhere within a 50-meter radius of the plaintiff, costs including legal fees and any other relief that this honorable court may deem fit. Now, this writ is issued by Charles Delali Blagogi Esquire, whose address is also there, the Blagogi Blacksword and Co. Ablewo Chambers, number 3 Popo Street, East Legon, and he is the agent for the plaintiff, who is Rejoice Bote Chuchu. Now, the lawyer for the plaintiff is Charles Dela Blagogi Esquire, and in endorsement made within 3 days after his service, this writ was served by me, that is the lawyer, on the defendant on this day, which is the 22nd. And note, if the plaintiff's claim is for a liquidated demand only, further proceeding will be stayed if within the time for appearance the defendant pays the amount claimed to the plaintiff, his lawyer or his agent, or into the court as provided in Order 2, Rule 3.2. Now, again, it is, as we know, Rejoice Chuchu Bote, the plaintiff, and Ralph St. Williams, who is the defendant. Now, the statement of the claim here is saying, 1, the plaintiff is a nurse and is currently undertaking national service or rotation at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital in Accra. The defendant is a Ghanaian and a self-styled activist with an active presence on social media, including TikTok and Instagram, with the handle Ralph, the fellow Ghanaian inter alia. On Sunday, the 17th day of August 2025, the plaintiff was on duty at the Ridge Hospital, assisting with care of patients under the leadership of the nurse in charge. While care was being given to patients, a person who had apparently suffered a vehicular accident was brought in and was being cared for. Suddenly, defendants leading some thugs also entered the facility, and the defendant demanded impatiently to be treated for what he described as injury to his fingers. The defendant demanded that the staff abandon their patients and their patients' treatments to rather attend to him. Among the patients undergoing treatment at the time was one with an open fracture and was actively bleeding, and efforts were being made to arrest the bleeding. When the defendant was asked by the appropriate staff to get his hospital card, the defendant insisted that he would not get any hospital card and that his Ghana card should suffice, as he has all his personal information on the Ghana card. And when he was informed that it's not done like that in Ghana, in quote, he got visibly angry, hurled insults, abuses and threats at the hospital staff without any provocation. 10. The defendant at all material times was videoing the staff and patients in the room without consent or authorization, an act which clearly breaches the confidentiality required for medical treatments. The defendant lawfully published the said video recordings online without the consent of the hospital, staff, or patients. 12. Though there was no active bleeding on the defendant's fingers, the plaintiff personally provided first aid to the defendant and dressed his wounds to give him reassurance and comfort so that he would go and get a hospital card for full treatment. Now, the defendant, who was prancing to and fro, intentionally removed his dressing, and he intentionally removed the dressing the plaintiff did for his wounds without any apparent reason, went outside and marshaled some thugs and led them forcibly into the treatment room or emergency room, telling them that the staff had abandoned the patients. Due to the menacing and aggressive posture of the defendant, the accompanying thugs and some of the staff who saw them took to their heels. Now, it's pretty lengthy, but we get the full story. So this is what is in Miss Rejoice Chuchu-Bote's claim, and she's suing Ralph St. Williams for assault, battery, and defamation. So, yes, I'm sure we saw some of the videos trending online and some of the CCTV footage and some of the words that were also spoken that could, you know, be termed as defamation. So, Clement, what's your take on what's happening?
I think before I would just go into this whole thing, last week, Thursday, the Minister for Health made a press briefing, and it's all about this whole issue. So I think we have it. I would like that press briefing to
Okay, so let's take...
We just speak to that matter from
Let's take a quick look at the press briefing from the Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, let me use this opportunity to state the chronological event that happened after the incident that occurred at Ridge Hospital. On Monday morning, I sent a delegation to Ridge Hospital to ascertain the situation. When the delegation came up, upon debriefing, I realized that I had to follow up. And ladies and gentlemen, let me state this, that I have the health workers of this country at heart. And so any attempt by any individual or any group of people to try to incite the health professionals against government, pretending he cares more than us, is unfortunate. And we must stop that. It's an avoidable tension we must avoid. It doesn't help the sector. If indeed you are a practicing health professional in the sector, it doesn't help the sector. And so, when the delegation came back, I had to follow up. I was in the company with the Deputy Director General and other directors of the ministry. We joined the medical superintendent at the Ridge Hospital, and I visited the victims. After going around, we had a closed-door meeting to discuss the issues, not insults. One, how to look at beefing on the internal security, staffing issues. So, after the closed-door meeting, I came out to address the press to categorically condemn the physical attack. And that is the most important aspect. And for me, let me at this point reiterate to the whole country that irrespective of the level of provocation at any health facility in this country, nobody, irrespective of your status in society, absolutely nobody has the right to attack any health professional in this country. That is the gravamen of the issue. No diversion tactics or handshaking. That is what we must concentrate on, to send a clear signal that our health professionals working at the various health facilities are safe. And so, after the engagement with the management, when I pulled out of the ward, then, in fact, in the engagement with the management, I made it clear to them that I had listened to their side of the story. And therefore, as a minister, I will also listen to the other side of the story. And I then constituted a committee to look into the matter, bring out recommendations for implementation. a lawyer, a nurse, a medical doctor, an auditor, an HR person to go into the matter. Now, when I pulled out, my attention was to a gentleman called Ralph, who was at the center of the controversy. And so he was walking towards us as a group. The medical director was with me. The deputy general was also with me. Then I asked, why did you do this, gentleman? When I asked, most of you were there. I mean, the press, you were there. So you can attest to what I'm saying. You were there with me. When I asked him, the gentleman then stretched his hand, shaking me and trying to whisper something into my ears. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, should I push the guy that don't whisper anything into my ears? Should I snub him? Should I shout at him? Even if that guy has been prosecuted and sentenced to life imprisonment, and he stretches his hand to shake me, as a minister, as a public officer, I have the duty to stretch and greet him. So let us not reduce the fact that I shook hands with him does not mean that I should stop any measure or any steps that the ministry or government will take to unravel the situation. Ladies and gentlemen, at this
Right, so that was the Health Minister, Honorable Minta Akando. So, Clement, we heard our minister addressing, what we saw on social media and the backlash he seemingly got. So, what's your take?
I listened to what we just played, and key thing I picked up from the whole issue is this. You see, the minister, as he said, a lot of backlash, for example, from the association of Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association, of which we'll be speaking with the General Secretary, the Secretary, in no time. The point he made was that, assuming you meet someone who is has been jailed, and the person's approaching you, you might not know the reason of which he's approaching, even if the person has been he's a culprit, he has been found culprit, or he's a suspect. Let me use the word suspect. You can't just let the person go. There might be the need for engagement with that very person. And he made it emphatic that he has listened to one side of the story. He also is supposed to get to the other side of the story. So I think, one, the association need to have patience and work hand in hand with the Ministry of Health, because that is the mother organization that they are working under. And another point he really talked about is the aspect of the issue of staffing and the security, as that's insecurity, because these are the two issues that resulted in this assault we saw at Rich Hospital. If the staffing situation at the various hospitals are on point, whereby you know that a nurse is to, let's say, 3 patients or 2 patients, so that there will not be this kind of 1:1, so that we don't have this kind of overcrowding in these health facilities. I think it will go a long way to help we the Ghanaians, because there are reports always you hear in the news outlet that you go to the hospital, nurses are doing this, you go to these places, they are doing that, and they are doing that. Sometimes it's not really their fault because of how the working environment is. They're overwhelmed with a lot of duty, and sometimes some patients can be very annoying sometimes, and that kind of issue. So when it happens like that, by the grace, the nurses have been trained as professionals. They know how to handle their matters. So, but it's unfortunate that this incident happened, whereby Ralph actually put it at the public domain. Maybe he was trying to let Ghanaians know what was going on at Rich Hospital, but it was not the best. And in an interview, I think last Sunday, the minister was asked that what is his take on the defamation case, and he said, let the law take its course. And I think that is the right thing we should do. And in his address, he made it so emphatic that no citizen, you don't have the right to attack any health profession or any nurse, even at the workplace, even if the person should do something wrong to you. there is a process, there is a guideline. Just follow that protocol and report that very person to whoever you're supposed to report to. If after reporting you realize that still the issue is not solved, that is when you need to take the next action. But you can't just take the law into your hands, try to
do whatever
you want to do, which is not right. And in terms of security, that is what the minister said, that they've realized that not only rich hospital that need a security, but all hospitals in the country. And I think it's very true. Not only rich, but all hospitals. So he made a point that he's going to work with the various chief executives of the municipal, metro, and the district assemblies, so that they would work with the district directors and regional directors of health, and they'll provide enough security to the various health facilities. I think it's a good thing they need to do, because these health facilities run 24/7. Some of them don't sleep; they go on shift and stuff. So if their security is at risk, the issue is how would you even work in a situation where the working environment is not conducive, of which even the labor law doesn't even allow that to happen. If you realize that the environment you are working is not conducive, you have the right to just restrain from work. And I think that is what the Ghana nurses, registered nurses and midwife association wanted to do. Their basis was that the environment was not conducive. So if action is not taken, they are going to put their tools down and restrain. That was their point, because that is what the labor law says. But today, the discussion is going to be about the defamation case, of which Ralph, in the claim, the nurse made it known that she is asking for 3 things. 1, Ralph has said she is a liar, and 2, Ralph has exposed her to public scrutiny. They are going to talk about her, and 3, the integrity of her profession is equally at stake. So these are the things. This one, I think I will leave it to the lawyer, since the lawyer will come in to speak to issues like this. But we also want to find out from the Nurses and Midwifery Association, what is the way forward? What measures are they putting in place for their nurses, for their members, to make sure that their workplace is very conducive, that we will not have issues like this? Were they not aware that we have issues like this earlier before, or have they been issues like this before? What are the steps that have been taken by them? Is it one thing I've come to realize, that we try to relax and we act quickly until something happens, and when that thing happens, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
then
it dies off. Until another thing happens, we'll never take action. But I believe that it's hard time we start taking action just from now.
Okay, so I was also even thinking about the fact that comments coming up are, trying to say that Ralph is one way or the other affiliated to the NDC, that is the ruling government, and so it seems as though it is something targeted, and it begs the question, because just because you are an activist or whatever it is you call yourself, does not mean that you go about and do certain things. There are, like you said, there are due processes to follow with anything that you want to do. So I think that the political conversation around this should be, limited, because this is between 2 people. You came seeking healthcare and you did not get, according to you, you were not attended to with the urgency that you would have liked, and so you took certain actions, and now some people are saying that you have assaulted them, you have caused them some distress, even rendered the environment unsafe for working. And then I even want to ask, with our Ghanaian hospitals, anytime you enter a hospital, have you done your card? Do you have a card? That's one of the first things they ask. So it's making me wonder why he thought that the Ghana card would do everything. Because I know even with the hospitals, you have to have the hospital card itself, and then, if possible, even your NHIS card. So they ask you, and if it's expired, you can even renew it and then get to use it and benefit 1 or 2 things on there. So it is making the whole thing a little questionable. You came to the emergency room. You, according to the nurse, she dressed your wounds and everything, and then gave you reassurance so you can go and, fix up your card because you were bleeding. Now, if that has been done, and then you need to go and follow the due processes to get your medical attention required, what again is the problem?
So, okay, yeah, right. I think it's a very nice observation, but I have a question here. Can it be possible? I believe we'll be speaking with the secretary, so I'll ask, is it possible for us to the information of every Ghanaian can be on a database of the health facilities? Not only, for example, Rage, not only, for example, Kolebu, but can we have a particular database that you just go in, insert the Ghana card number, and all your details will pop up, whereby you can access health at any place you find yourself. Instead of you going through when you go to the hospital, you have to do your card, because sometimes the kind of issue one might go through, the person might not have the energy, even to go through a process like this. So I think this should be another conversation that the ministry would look at, the Ghana Health Service will look at, that can we, since we have National Health Identification Authority, can we have that kind of system to work together, put together? When you just go to the hospital, your Ghana card is there, they insert into the your information comes, and everything can be accessed there. Whereby we not go through, you go to hospital A, you need to get hospital A card. You go to hospital B, you need to get, that is a system we have in the country.
But I think somewhere in July, when we were speaking with the civil service, head of civil service for the Civil Service Week celebration, we're talking about the automation and things and moving to a digitalized system. So it is the same with the hospital system. Those times I remember you have a whole folder, right, where your medical history is in there. So I think that is what maybe slowly we are moving from, because in the time you need to have a card, there's a number. And that will determine where your folder is, and it has to be located so that whatever medical emergency you are bringing can be input into that folder, so that when the folder reaches the doctor, they have your medical history. But in the time that, the move from the paper trail to the digitized, it's going to take some time. So, but for now, what we have is having your card. And I think even now they are handling both. So with your card, they can go get a computerized system, because I remember one hospital, you get to the doctor's office and then he has a screen. So he's just reading what's wrong with you on it. And I think it's happening bit by bit, but the card is just a means to identify where to find your details. And then also, how many people have Ghana cards? That's another problem we are facing in the country at the moment. How many people have Ghana cards? Look at the issues we've had with NIA going on strike and some people's cards not being given to them yet, and all these petty issues coming up. So I think the hospital cards for the meantime is there, because even from childhood they tell us, keep your card on you, keep it safe. So okay, I'm going to Ridge Hospital, you look through your cards, okay, Ridge Hospital card, you take it along.
But sometimes you would be caught in an emergency. You would be caught in an emergency where the card, you will not be able to even locate where the card is, or you might even be caught in a situation where the card might not be with you. So I believe when a situation like this happens, I think that's the right in the next date. Ask the patient, go get your card.
So you even attended to the person
before. So sometimes the patient, we need to have patience and respond. But the whole issue I'm looking at is that we should look at the broader picture. This issue has happened to us. It has made us know about our security threats in the various health facilities. It has made us know about our staffing situation. But let's also look at going a broader way, whereby we move away from this card system. Because someone might have more than 10 cards, because 10 different hospitals. You get a point. So let's try as much as, I know it's going to be another conversation where we move from this kind of card-related matters, then we go purely electronic. You just go there, everything is on the database, you just give your name to them, and they just find out.
I think that would work for the government hospitals, where they have a centralized database for all of that. I think it would work.
That is the point. So we are pushing, we are hoping that kind of issues would be addressed.
So we have Mr. Solomon Ajao on the line. He is the Regional Secretary for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association for the Greater Accra region. Hello, sir.
Hello, good morning, Yaya.
Good morning. I hope you're well today.
Yeah, I'm fine. And how about you?
I'm well too, thank you. So, yes, the issue of one of your members is still ongoing, and yeah, she seems to have sued the assailant. And yeah, what would you like to tell us about this brief overview before we get into the questioning?
Oh, okay. Good morning to you and to your listeners. And I must say that we appreciate the opportunity to share or to bring to light the trending issues or the issue in question about the assault of a colleague and nurse, which happened about a week ago at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, where we usually call the Ridge Hospital. Mm-hmm. The name is Greater Accra Regional Hospital. So the individual has the right, and I think she's taking that opportunity to go to court on a civil matter, suing the alleged culprit, the RAF St. Williams, and the other issue that has to do with the criminality of it, with attack and everything, is being investigated by the police, and they will take action. But for us as an association, we would say that we came in to support or to solidarize with our member. Hence, we issuing a certain communique and asking for certain measures to be put in place. Either to, if those measures were not put in place or have not been put in place, we are going to ask our members to remove themselves, as stated by the Labour Act 2003-651, Section 119. It says that when you perceive the environment in which you are working in is not conducive and it's not safe for you, the law mandates you to remove yourself from that place. That is different from strike. Until such a time where your employers will put in the necessary measures to make the workplace very conducive and very satisfactory for you to give up your best. So, I mean, in a nutshell, this is what I would say. So, having said that, we realize that there is some commitment from the agency, from the Ghana Police Service, which initially have made some arrests, which we cannot tell which people have been arrested, but we are being told that some arrests have been made, and the minister for the sector also met the press last week, Friday, and also alluded to that same fact. So it gives us the assurance. Also, we can also attest to it that at the facility, some measures have been put in place where security have been beefed up at the ER. So for now, we are still hoping that all other things that we expect of the Ghana police will intensify their efforts in getting who the perpetrators are and his accomplices, and they should be brought to book.
Right. Thank you so much. We also have Christian Libert Malm Hesse Esquire also on the line. He is the lawyer who specializes in medical negligence. He's a senior associate at ICAM Law Consult. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. I hope you're well.
I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. Yourself?
Same here. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the nurse is suing the alleged assailant, and we want to take your perspective from the legal standpoint about everything that's going on.
Yes, I mean, basically, unless investigations come out to conclude, but on the hindsight, one can only condemn all that happens. The fact that one has an emergency and goes to a hospital in the situation where the hospital has not assumed the duty. So the scenario as we have it, Mr. A rushes to Ridge Hospital, and while waiting to be attended to Ridge Hospital, at the time had not assumed the duty. There is no operative care at the moment. But once Ridge Hospital begins to attend to that particular patient, then the duty clock starts running.
Right.
So that in the situation where injury or harm occasions thereafter, which falls below the standard, then we can say there is medical negligence. So for the gentleman to have gone rampage when it seemed as though Rick had not assumed that duty, because they also claimed that that place is an emergency place. They were attending to other patients, other traumatic patients, and all of that. They were yet to attend to them, to ascertain or to assume the duty. It beckons one why the attack went on, why all that went on in the name of medical negligence. Medical negligence is one of the most banded and loosely used terms, even in legal practice, by some lawyers as well as laymen. It is just not a term that one just runs around, but it is one that goes to the mill of evidence and to establish all the elements necessary thereof to impute that indeed there has been negligence. So just as I spoke on other platforms, the nurse or the nurses involved, they have three options. The first one is the criminal aspect. They lodging a complaint to the police, the ministry police is closer, or because assault and battery falls in under Act 29, section 86, 87, thereabouts. It deals with that. Then we also have it in civil law. So in civil law, we have what we call law of tort. And law of tort deals with civil wrong. And where a wrong has occasioned somebody, the victim has a right of compensation, which is commensurate to the injury sustained. So whatever injuries that the person sustained, when the suit is mounted, the court will look at what is fair in terms of damages, and that will be the restitution given. And then, because the nurse was in the line of duty and sustained injury, she could also have recourse to the hospital and then to the chief labor officer for compensation to be drawn up for her, because under the Workmen's Compensation Act. So these are the three options that avail to the lady. She has exercised two of them, and let's see what will come out of court and also what will come out from the police investigation. Okay. But for me, when the minister said he had mounted all that, I saw it as very unnecessary, and I mentioned it on the TV platform. I indicated that, there's nothing bureaucratic about this. This is a criminal matter for the police to investigate or otherwise, for the lady to exercise her right. And the committee has no juristic powers where it can summon persons who went there or not. If they choose not to cooperate, what can the committee? So sometimes we have institutions that are leading with constitutional duties to work. We need to allow them to work rather than have committees and for per diem or to create unnecessary bureaucratic systems which will rather delay the process. The system must work, and that is how it ought to be.
Okay. So in making the system work, we heard that the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association issued a 48-hour ultimatum. I stand to be corrected on the details. That if the assailant is not arrested, then the medical professionals at the Ridge Hospital will, refrain from work, because the environment has been deemed unsafe. And they stated the labor law that actually backs them. And I want to ask, I think even people are saying that morally it's not right, and people are still going to be in need of medical care. So are they well within their right to do something like that?
They are not. They are jumping the gun.
Pardon?
Yes, I understand. They are jumping the gun.
Okay.
They are jumping the gun. I sympathize with them. I condemn violence against any health practitioner. And yes, because of my medical negligence, I'm more associated with health workers. It is an action that should be condemned to the highest level. While we condemn that, there are legal processes to follow. You get it? It is
Okay.
just like a baby who is hungry and yet crying. Now, that baby has grown to an extent that could go to kitchen to get a cereal. I mean, he knows where all these things are, but yet this young person is crying. It's the same way. It is not an affront to the entire nursing community or midwifery community. It is situation specific. And in that situation, the nurses involved, what legal steps have they taken through their lawyers? Have they reported the matter to the police? That's the first checklist. Have they reported the matter to, and have they taken the matter on in the civil arena? That's another checklist. Aside that, have they recorded the incident in their record book, their incident book? That's another thing, so that they can take it up through the Chief Labor Office for compensation under the thing. It should not be a blanket statement to say that if nothing is done, then we are going on. It is a non-starter. That's one. When it comes to strikes and other things, there are procedures to follow under that. And when they go contrary to that, that's one too, they can be taken on. And the sentiments will rather escalate as though authorities are not sensitive to them. That is not the situation.
Right.
Let us all balance the right occasion to act. Nurses follow assailants who, where the process has been ignited, the law would also deal with them. We are not living in the banana republic. We are living in the balanced state of rights, where all parties need to ascribe to what option of right one needs to in order to get remedy for a wrong done.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Solomon Ajao, I hope you're on the line, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's a little faint.
Yeah.
Right, so now with regards to this case where one of your members is suing the assailant, how does the association, what support are you going to be giving this lady, especially with regards to this lawsuit?
Okay, thank you. But let me put some issue in context and in perspective.
Okay.
I think counsel was trying to educate us and talk about. You asked the question. He was saying that you were jumping the gun and everything. Let's be on record that we issued a 48-hour ultimatum. We were clear in our mind what our demands were. We were not saying that the whole nursing and midwifery fraternity was going to go on strike. That is not what we stated. So, and can do as
right.
654 section 119. When the environment is not safe, immediately you remove yourself. That is not strike.
Right.
We are not laying down our tools. And that is clearly stated, and we are bound by law. And like he clearly stated, incident book, everything has been documented. We based on the country some of these incidents. I mean, for this one, it came on social media and everything. But we have put judiciously with some of these various facilities, not only at rate.
Okay.
So when we are talking about what we went there as leadership was in solidarity with them. We seek their welfare. We must ensure that whatever is being meted out to them is to the benefit of the ordinary nurse and midwife who cannot speak or either to take actions by him or herself. That is why we have unions. And the union came in, and as a result of this, certain things are being done. Like he also stated, there's a criminal of the issue and there's a civil one. The criminal issue is being investigated by the police. The civil issue is what the media has taken it up. So the evidence stated in the incident book and everything has been attached to it. Mm-hmm. So let's put that issue, and we've not mentioned of talking about strike. It's not about strike issues here. No. Let's take it out of the conversation. That is what I want to say.
So it's not a
and
strike.
Now, for us, we are liaising with our employers, like we stated. The Ministry of Health is our employer, but Ghana Health Service being the largest agency under the Ministry of Health, that is where Greater Accra Regional Hospital finds itself as an implementing agency.
Okay.
So we are collaborating with the regional director, the Ghana Health Service headquarters, We are providing psychological and emotional support for our members. We've ensured that they are being treated. You see, mentally, they were traumatized. Working at a place where people will invade there, will create all the chaotic scenes and everything, threaten your life. When somewhere being threatened that we know your faces will follow you to your homes and go and kill, you will not even want to come to work. If you work in your studio and in the next 5 minutes, about 50 people invade or 30 people invade your studio, and they come to threaten you, tomorrow morning, will you stand up and come to work? Or will you still be on live? You will just leave your studio and run for a place that you find safety and shelter from. So it is not out of place for us to demand what needs to be provided for us, that security and a safe environment. And if that thing is not in place, it is not wrong for us to call on our members to prove themselves. But let's put it far beyond that. It has passed. We have received some assurance. We've taken certain steps. We've gotten assurance from the minister.
Oh, the line.
And we believe that we'll call on the public to respect nurses and midwives and all health workers, for that matter. Respect the health space where we work.
Okay.
There's a need for the public to understand that our public health facilities are seriously challenged with health workforce gaps, inadequate logistics, life-saving modern equipment, among others, are the challenges, and therefore we employ them to support us. I mean, we are not saying that whatever we do in our facilities, we are 100% right. Of course, there are lapses, there are gashes. You know, for every nurse, every midwife doing the right thing. But what we are saying that as much as you may find some bad nuts among us, lastly, we are sacrificing and we are giving. Our colleagues are moving out in drones. We are still here breaking our back. You come to a ward, one person attending to 40 people, then that person does a reward that means to last them out like that. No. Sometimes we should be a bit sensitive to the issues and try to put ourselves. If it happens to our sister, our wife, our family member, is that how we respond?
No.
No.
Yeah. So, for clarification, the removing yourself from the environment, if you can, break it down for us a little. Is it that maybe you go and find another hospital to work at? Because you're saying it's not a strike action. So if you can please, make us understand properly what exactly you mean by, removing yourself from the environment.
So imagine at a workplace and the ceiling is falling off, and I have my patients working there, and that place, if I'm not careful, the ceiling will fall on me, and I'll also be hurt and this thing. I'll just move away from that place. I'm not going to work in that environment. It doesn't mean the whole hospital will be shut down. That particular environment is where you close it down and work on it. So in this case, if it's the emergency department that is not safe for any health worker to work, they obviously will move from that area
to another department.
While the others are working. Inpatient was ongoing, specialist units are working, OPD was working. It's the emergency that has been invaded.
Okay.
You understand? Until such a time that security is assured, the environment is safe, the logistics and the things that they need to work with is provided, they will just stay off.
Okay.
That is not strike. But, I mean, council will tell you that when we talk about strike, you also demand certain things to be provided for you. When those things are not having gone through the lay-down procedures, being it labor commission, fair wages and salary commission with your employers and everything, we don't just stand up in a day to declare strike. No, you may have gone through certain lay-down procedures, but you can remove yourself from the workplace environment if you think it's not safe. You don't need any lay-down procedures to go through. The law is clear. Remove yourself.
Okay.
But before you get to a time that you must even give notice to Labor Commission for about 2 weeks and follow up a whole lot. And that wasn't strike that we intended to employ. We intended to provide safety for our colleagues.
Okay. Now, we have a few comments that may be addressed to both guests on the line. So I'll take them and then we'll see what responses we can get. So this one is saying, good morning. We should place human life above hospital cards. We live in a society where hospital cards are demanded from a dying person. Can't you treat the person first before those administrative procedures? We all watch ER series and see how it's done out there. Then we also have, yes, good morning, Koko Digest. I like this discussion. Now that the nurse has sued for 7 million Ghana cedis, will this case set a precedent for other health workers who face violence at work? This is from Kofi Boateng in Adenta. Then we have this from Davidson in Pokwasi. He says, hi, Ira, hi, Clement. It's very disturbing that a nurse can be assaulted at her workplace. If health workers are not safe at the hospital, then what about the patients? Then we also have Peggy from Wager. She says, hello, Koko Digest. Kudos to you for touching on this topic. We always talk about respect for nurses and doctors, but when such incidents happen and culprits walk free, it discourages others from joining the profession. Then this one says, I'm relieved the ministry condemned the attack and promised better security, but words must translate into real protection for staff. This is Andrew in Tabora. Then, oh wow, the comments are quite a number. Now we have Good Day Koko Digest, great show. I believe hospitals should be safe places, but if a nurse can be attacked in a hospital, what message does that send to young people in training to join the profession? This is Kratos in Adabraka. Then nurses are already stressed with heavy workloads. Adding fear for their safety is unacceptable. This is Zainab in Nungwa. Then, good morning, Koko Digest. The fact that the accused is claiming innocence and even going to deities for protection is shocking. We should focus on the facts from the investigation and not the drama. This is Helen in Malam. Then, the last one here says, why has the assailant not been arrested when there is CCTV evidence? Is the police waiting for public pressure before they act? This is Gideon in Ablekuma. So, counsel.
Yeah. Before
Okay.
council comes in. Hello. Yes, before council comes, I want to ask Mr. Solomon a question.
Okay.
Before council comes in. Hello, Mr. Solomon. Hello.
Yeah, my brother, I can hear you.
Okay. I think in your submission, you made us understand that when the working environment is not conducive, even council also made talked about that. According to labor law, you have the right to just stay aside or just stop work or lay down your tools because the environment is not conducive. The question is the association having any plan, or what is the association doing to make sure that the members of the association are working in a very conducive environment? Because over the years, what we hear is government, my employer. But is there any other way that the association could do to assist that the working environment for its members are very secured?
Okay, I think when you look at what you are trying to ask, it's all will be considered as conditions of service. Yeah. And when you break the word conditions of service down, it is not limited to remuneration. It is not just about salary. It's about the workplace, about the equipment. So, in this instance, whenever you hear us going to a negotiation to talk about condition of service, it's not limited to just salary pay cut. No, it's not just salary. All these things are factored. So when you consider, when you go through or you read through our condition of service, it's clearly stated that the workplace environment must be conducive. The health worker must have adequate logistics to work with, to have the necessary equipment to work with, to offer our best. You people try to compare us to the outside world. I read one of the messages said they have been watching movies and everything. Yeah. Look at the environment they work in and look at the logistics available for them. You see, you go even outside, you don't even rush to any emergency and you are being attended to immediately. That is the assistant. You can sit at the ER after charging, you can sit there for 4 or 5 hours. In our case, people don't understand what we have to even do. So in terms of the conditions and everything, let me say that we are collaborating with our employer. It's the responsibility of the employer. It's not the responsibility of the association. That is why we impress and we still this to the attention of the employer whenever we get the opportunity. The last time we had the opportunity to meet with the minister, the Health Committee of Parliament as well, we made it clear to them our conditions of service. The conditions of service, as I said earlier, it's not just about salary. All this thing is part of it. So we are collaborating with stakeholders. Management is also, because it's a tripartite thing. You have the employer, you have the union, and you have the worker.
Yeah.
So when you look at this triad thing, then these three people have to come together and work together to enjoy the benefits of the ordinary Ghanaian. So the employer has a role to play, the union has a role to play, and the individual worker, health worker, also must offer or give their best out there. So all these things are the things that we look at.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, Council. Hello? Hello, Council. Okay, it seems we don't have Council on the line, but Mr. Solomon, so with this case now, you mentioned that you are speaking with the necessary stakeholders and all of that, but are you also going to develop a sort of fund or policy to support the nurses who may face this kind of situation in the future?
Okay, we before I come to that, but initially, earlier in your conversation, you were talking about why do you have to even get hospital card, why do you go and do a card and everything. Let's use this platform to educate Ghanaians that when you come to the hospital, you need to offer or to give out your information. And for record keeping, someone will say, well, you can just mention your name and all your information. It will be, maybe you should know that you are not the only person having the name Yaira. When you type in your full name, you could have millions or thousands of people bearing the same name. Okay. However, we have to uniquely identify you. That is why we need to give you a unique number. And which that number, you cannot be keeping in your head as you move around. So you need a particular card to have that information on it. So that when you go to the hospital, you go to any hospital, which will have the electronic system that's being used by Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service, your information will be accessed. Okay. Either to before, you have to carry a manual folder and be moving around. But now, if you move from Ridge and you go to Achimota Hospital, your information can be accessed with that unique number.
Right.
That is why we employ that whenever you come to the facility, you have to be identified. Your information, your biodata information has to be captured into the system, and whatever we do for you can be referred to. Whether if you should even pass on, these are the information that we need to even give you a death certificate, which has to go into the Ghana Statistical Service to be able to account for our population. Right. So everything that we do has a bearing on us as a country. Okay. Now, to the question you are talking about, what are we doing as an association to support stakeholders and everything? We have Education and Research Committee. We also sit on the Nurse and Midwifery Council board. So the regulator, the Nurse and Midwifery Council is the regulator that regulates practice and everything. We have a voice there. We also engage in webinars where we train our people on customer care. We also engage with other partners, international partners like International Conference of Nurses, Commonwealth Nurses Organization, PSI, Public Sector International, to also organize webinars to equip our people. Beyond the medical skills that they have acquired, they also go a long way to educate them, to bring them the current trends and updates on medical practice to our members. So we as an association, we are not just there for, someone will say, you are just there for choboy. No. We also know it's a duty, it's a responsibility on us to also help our people to get the needed knowledge and the skills to offer their best. Right. And let me also add the area that as a patient, you have rights. And it's your right to be taken care of, it's your right to have the quality health care and everything. But we must also know that the right goes with responsibility. As much as we are preaching or speaking of patients' rights, we should not forget about their responsibilities. You need not to go to a hospital and start filming and invading people's privacy and all. When you look at the video that is streaming on your screen, you can see, look at our approach. If you come and approach me in that manner, do you expect me to just go nice? No. You need a certain serene environment and not to be this chaotic to be expecting that standard of care. So as much as we have the right, the populace or the population, the Ghanaian populace, to also know that there is a responsibility on them to also behave and support the healthcare provider. You don't go and attack any doctor or any lab technician or any record staff or any cashier in the hospital just because you are coming. And when you come to emergency is different from OPD. The last time we had this discussion, OPD is first come, first served. Even at the OPD, when there's a sudden change in your condition, you can be triaged and you can be rushed into the ER, where you will be seen ahead of any other people. And like I said, at the triage station at the ER or the emergency department, we have color coding: the red, the orange, the yellow, the green, and the blue or black. So these are the things that we need to. Maybe we have to find time.
Yes,
and
we will have this conversation.
A proper campaign and education for our people to understand how our healthcare system is. So that when they are watching those TV, Amsterdam, whatever these things, the Grey's Anatomy, they might not think that we should import that thing here in Ghana. The settings are different. And
Clement has a question for you.
Yes, please, I have a very quick question. Hello, please, I hope you are there. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. I think in the message we had, as you responded to, that is, what's the watch outside and how to respond to patients immediately when they come to the health facilities. You made mention the fact that since we all can have one name, so it is very difficult to only use someone's name to identify him on the system. But would you also, or would the association accept that moving forward, we can just synchronize the Ghana card information, the digital information we have, into the health database, where when I come, you just use my Ghana card, because we all have a unique code on the Ghana card, not particularly my name, but the Ghana card is so unique. So would you consider, or the association consider, moving forward, we look at that broader picture electronically, where we synchronize our database onto the system, so that when someone comes there, just the Ghana card, the person can be attended to, rather than going through another process to do a card and all these kind of things? Is it really going to be considered by the association moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's welcoming, and this is already being done, except that people are not aware. You remember when they started this Ghana card thing, they asked people to bring other ID cards for it to be synchronized. Yesterday, I went to a facility to be attended to, and the only thing that they required of me was, they asked me whether do I remember my hospital card number. I said I've forgotten, and they asked me do I have my Ghana card. So they used my Ghana card and my phone number, and they were able to access and give me my data of health insurance number, the expiry date, and everything. So it is something welcoming, which we are in for it. Once we have one synchronized card that can be accessed. I mean, traveling, once I put my Ghana card, they access my SNIT, they access my health insurance, my passport, and everything. So as I'm sitting here, everything of my anything ID card has been synced into my voter ID card. I don't need to carry all the other cards with me. The only thing I need is my Ghana card, and I don't even need the physical card. It's just the number. Once you're able to mention the number, you're able to access it. So if we all add our voice to it, that the agency or the ministry responsible to facilitate that all Ghanaians should get a Ghana card and the right information be put on it is captured, I think we will be strengthening our own health system, and it will not be difficult for me to access any healthcare facility in Bole or Damango that I have to carry my card or no. The moment I mention my name or my Ghana card number, which is uniquely to me, all the information will come. So I think it's a good call, and as an association, we'll add our voice to it.
Okay. Council, I hope you are there, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Right. So I want to ask, though. Now, even though Ridge has not been, Ridge Hospital was not directly sued, do you think this could actually damage the reputation of the hospital, even legally or professionally?
I mean, the suit in court is is what would prove whether race assumes duty or not.
Okay.
I do not have the full complement of the facts.
Okay.
So that if it is a situation that when the perpetrators got to the hospital at the emergency, they were preliminarily attended to in terms of they solicited their details, they gave them a place to sit or where the person is unconscious and all that. They put them at a holding place for further treatment, further detail. That alone meant that there's duty of care. Mm-hmm. If it was a situation that the hospital, given how busy the place was, hands tied to other patients and all, whoever is supervising the nurse in charge, the midwife in charge, realize that this situation, we cannot admit new emergency cases, should have turned them away. But even if they are there and the hospital never attended to them in the things that I had mentioned, then there's no duty. But if the hospital took preparatory steps and engaged them in all that happened, then they assumed that duty. But while that duty had been assumed, the question too is, did the perpetrators suffer any injury? So yes, the hospital, assuming without admitting that, took that preparatory step by checking their pulses, because they said they had some accidents or whatever, and checking whether they are okay, but the hospital needed further information in order to process them. Like I said, there's duty already. But then the point is, while they were at that holding position, had they suffered any injury? If there's no injury suffered, then there's no medical negligence. Mm. Yes. So the fact that that person is in wait to be attended to, does not necessarily mean that there is negligence. So while they were in wait, it seemed as though they became very uncomfortable, or they have a fear of harm. And by that, they went sick and all that happened. That moment where they went sick, it could be held in law that negligence had not started operating. Mm. Yes. And for the perpetrators rather to go be sick. And when you are going that way, you first start with assault, because assault deals with the unlawful apprehension of fear in somebody. So you don't need to touch somebody by assault. Battery is where the actual fact, the harm, unlawfully is done. So if the person had not given you permission to touch and they touch the nest, then that is battery. Yeah. The assault is the unlawful apprehension that you give to the person. Then, so maybe you throw your hand in the air, that maybe I'll punch your face, then you do your hand and the person goes back and blinks back, so that's the assault. But then they're touching the person. So then now the perpetrators move from that lawful moment to a very unlawful moment. But all these things will pan out in court for the nurse to establish a case. Now, those defendants in the matter, if they are available, fine. If they are not available, the court will still proceed to establish the claim that the nurse has brought to court. And the publication would go through by what we call substituted orders. So the court will give substituted orders in order to bring the case to their attention in the daily. If they have their numbers, it will be sent to their numbers, and copies of processes. When I say processes, court documents will be posted on the notice board of the court. And at every point in time, that's what it will be. That's what the court will do. And the nurse would have to establish a case based on these angles that I had mentioned. But it goes to say that the hospital must have its security apparatus working, because they are the primary employers before we go on to Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service. Management needs to ensure that the security protocol is always enhanced because they have a duty under the Labour Act to ensure a conducive working environment. If you also go into their collective bargain agreement, it's there because I practice medical law and currently in court on compensation. So I work on their collective bargain. It's also there, which beholds on Ministry of Health and then Ghana Health Service to ensure that there's a safe working environment for all nurses and midwives across the country, not just rich hospital alone. So, I mean, it is a balance for all the stakeholders to sharpen their tools and know what responsibilities is derived of them in order to ensure that they have quality health care. Because if doctors, nurses, and all those along the value chain in health don't feel safe to practice what they have learned in school, how are we going to get that quality health service that we are talking about? Security to any person's job is what is important. The security of the employment is one thing. Now, the cost of employment security is also another thing. So it is everything necessary for the minister to ensure that there is security, enough security at the various hospitals, so to ensure that persons where they have agitation will not spiral through their emotions to cause harm or unlawful apprehension to health workers and practitioners across the board.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Council, for such enlightening, responses that you gave us. And thank you, Mr. Solomon Ajao, for your contributions as well. I'm sure we've learned a lot today. We've gotten more information, more in-depth analysis about what's going on. And we hope to have you here soon, probably on Thursday, to continue this conversation, as the time was not enough because we still wanted to ask more things, especially with the legal aspects and, the repercussions. And thank you so much, Clement, for joining me here to have this conversation. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Thank you for sending in your comments. As always, I am Yaira Awuno, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you bright and early on Thursday morning. Do have a great day.